I don't even need to know your name. I need to know your vision. I
Vision.
call you by your vision, right?
This is good.
And if you basically can share your vision enough.
This is Blair Durham with Black Wall Street Today, your media hub for all things Black entrepreneurship, politics, news, and events in Hampton Roads and beyond.
When I say black, y'all say Wall Street. Black
Wall Street.
Black Wall Street. When I say black, y'all say Wall Street. Black.
Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Black Wall Street Today. I am your host, Blair Durham, and I bring greetings. Switching gears, today we move into part one of a three-part focus on economic development. Although there's no standard process for economic development, people would generally agree that when we improve our social, our political, and our economic plight, we've engaged in some level of economic development. One of the primary tenets of this show is a core belief that entrepreneurship, its practice and its skill set, is the most viable opportunity, more so than even reparations, to advance the Black community. Indeed, success in entrepreneurship impacts government and law, technology and industry, in every sphere of our world. Improving upon basic financial literacy concepts, embracing the stock market, and capturing business from the government, as discussed in our most recent episode featuring Chuck DeBow, Vice President of the National Black Chamber of Commerce, as well as J.R. Fenwick, CEO of Flip That Stock, are all avenues for sustainable wealth and creating those concepts in our community. Hashtag Our Numbers Matter. And so to further that discussion, we actually invite Chief Economics Professor Oliver Jones of the Hampton University School of Business. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Anytime. You're talking wealth, you're talking to me. So my objective is to educate, to inform, and to support the infrastructure of building wealth in our communities. So I'm happy to be here.
I love it. I was just going to say, tell us a little bit about yourself. How is it that you've sort of arrived at this place?
You bet. You will probably quickly detect that there's a Jamaican accent in there somewhere.
I hear that.
I've first arrived in the United States. I did my undergrad at Prairie View A&M in Texas since '94, but I just can't shake the accent. And I discovered I don't need to shake the accent. Right?
It's good. It works.
The partnership between Hampton alums and Jamaicans have gone back all the way from the turn of the century. With Marcus Garvey and Booker T. Washington, collaborating to determine how best to build wealth among in the African American community.
Yes.
For folks who don't know, Marcus Garvey is from Jamaica. He's actually one of our 7 national leaders in Jamaica. Subsequently, after basically getting kicked out of the United States.
Right.
But prior to that, while Marcus Garvey was here, he owned in the 1910s and 20s shipping lines. He owns restaurants. He owned newspapers in New York. Owned in the community.
A serial entrepreneur. Right?
Serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And his philosophy was that, which probably was a little bit too radical in that time, but the whole philosophy of wealth and ownership is what basically give power and ultimately to. So I love your introduction that you alluded to. The need to actually own. It's one thing to just be an entrepreneur and make money on the income statement part, but on the balance sheet, that's own. Own the wealth, right? Own the banks that give you the money to develop the entrepreneurship. So that's where my background is from. My first introduction to ownership of business came when I was a teenager in Jamaica. My dad was, he never went to college, right? But he went to train in school and he worked for one of the big bauxite companies in Jamaica, aluminum, bauxite, companies like Alcoa and Alcan. The aluminum foils you make today, that's big in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. And conflict of interest and drove him to have myself and my brother, us both teenagers, to take over the engineering firm that he created. And from ever since then, we were hiring, folks at 10 age, a lot of older folks than we are, and owning stuff. Over the years, I've created over 10 companies, international with international aspects to it, from from the energy, from the tech side to engineering side. However, I'm not an engineer, right? I come from the space of business. My brother is more the one that's on the engineering side. My objective always is to make money for the companies. But I was also kind of sharp on the academic side too, and so education was still big in my space.
I love it. You're listening to Black Wall Street Today with Blair Durham. We are talking with Professor Oliver Jones of the Hampton University School of Business. Dr. Jones, you've created what is now the Center for Applied Economics and Entrepreneurship. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell us about the program.
Okay. Part of the story that basically finally got me here to Hampton University was a need where I was doing consulting for several governments through the Caribbean. And I noticed that there wasn't any African Americans or even Caribbean Americans that were basically in those rooms in that space. And I felt like I needed to do something about this, and so there was my first push to approach Hampton University. I lived in this area. Mm-hmm. Of course, my wife, who I met at Prairie View 20 years ago. She didn't want to go back to Texas, so Hampton is the one that we approached for the business school. Interesting story. When I got in, I met the dean at the time, Dean Cradle, in the business school, and he was my head of accounting in Prairie View undergrad. Wow! And it's like, wait a second, I know you from them. You were teaching economics when you were in the class doing economics. You're now, at this point, I've had, I did my MBA at Syracuse. I've done a doctorate degree in Argos University, and I went back for a global energy program at Harvard Business School, right? So, and I've done the corporate space and do all of that stuff, and called myself retired at 2010. All right, so I retired from corporate, but starting to say, okay, now get back to what my dad was talking about. But I wanted to include what I'm doing and an exposure to students, this whole journey that I've been on. Mm-hmm. So hence my approach to Dean Cradle. Of course, if anybody knows the good old Dean Cradle in the School of Business, he can convince you to do anything. So he convinced me to stay around for one semester, come inside and immerse myself in the classroom, get to know the students, and get a shot at doing what I'm proposing to do. 3.5 years later, I'm still here doing it because I get so much joy from doing it. When I came in the classroom, I took over quickly all of the senior economic programs and one or two entrepreneurship programs, and realized that in order for me to get these students to do, the millennials, you're not going to teach them some things out of some book and later they go do it. You actually have to use applied basis to actually do this. And if we're going to basically formulate a way that students are going to be exercising the development of wealth and entrepreneurship and transform communities at the same time, it has to be done while they're actually learning. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Black Wall Street Today. We're here with Chief Professor of the Economics Department at Hampton University, Dr. Oliver Jones. We're having a fantastic conversation about economic development and the programs that he's created here at the School of Business for entrepreneurship students. Go right ahead, sir. Awesome. There were quite some fortune over the last 2 years too. Because I encountered some of the Hampton alums who were passionate about the space too. We also recognize that there is an opportunity if we want to fast forward this journey of finding research and innovation and technologies that are already existing. And that there are shelved technologies not being used today, and put it in these entrepreneurs' hands who have the vision to actually execute this in the community. And so we basically deliberately went after finding a relationship that has access to NASA technologies. NASA has thousands of technologies being developed over time, patented technologies being used for stuff out outer space. And if we have visionaries here in the classroom who basically know their situation, where they're coming from, or have relationships better than you and I have. What better way to basically attach some of the technologies to address some of the issues that they are aware of and make it their vision and their journey to entrepreneurship.
Go right ahead. No, I was just going to say, I know a little bit later in the show, we're going to hear from some of the winning students.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And so we have a former alum, Von Nkosi. He graduated from the architecture program here. He's living in Atlanta. He has his architectural firm. And when Katrina happened in New Orleans, he went to New Orleans and created the Institute for Local Innovations. And through that journey, trying to basically do a restructuring in New Orleans, his connections, intercept with NASA and NASA Goddard out of Maryland to get access to some technologies and to start, case competition for minority students across the country, from HBCUs, MSIs, which is minority serving institutions, to get these students into a process of doing such. The story, it was interesting because I was inside trying to culture this the first year, and of course you naturally folks in engineering school is saying, who's this business guy talking engineering and talking STEM to and all that stuff was going.
I mean, I think it's amazing because you're practicing this thing on so many different levels. You've got an investment fund you've created. When you say access to capital, when you say empowering community, you don't just mean from any one particular standpoint. You've kind of got that whole...
The whole, completing the ecosystem. If you don't own the ecosystem, somebody else is, and somebody else is getting the power. So even when we go into communities and we say, okay, we have the idea, we now are starting to do transformation. Let's say we basically say, okay, we're going to do development, real estate development on a block. We identify how, we've set the projects up, we look at the revenue stream. What's the first thing we do? We beeline into a bank. Or investor, and they basically want 80% of the project.
So our ownership
they want the decision-making process. We just gave away our own concept, everything to 80%.
This is good. This is Black Wall Street Today. I'm your host, Blair Durham, and we're sitting with Professor Oliver Jones. He's the Chief Economics Professor here at Hampton University, having a fantastic conversation again about economic development and various initiatives to empower the Black community. Talk to us more about your investment fund, how that got underway, and so forth.
Sure. The investment fund, my process that I've done over time, and I kind of got it from my approach to my PhD research, which is I am known for pursuing. Once I basically have a vision about what I want, I pursue, and no for me is usually kind of get me excited because a
little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, a challenge for one, but the secret is like my biggest asset is knowledge, and so knowledge is the new currency. It's not money. So even if I go into a process and it seemed like there was a big no and it didn't succeed, I guarantee you I took something away from that process and build towards this. So it was the case when I started to go into some of these major projects across the Caribbean, solar energy, renewable, hydro, and I'm sitting with guys who are billionaires. Guess what? I also, my LinkedIn is also now connected with a billionaire who's sitting in the room.
There it is.
And I'm like, tell me, how did you become a billionaire? So the process of knowing, for me is being the biggest secret of stuff. I knew that in the Caribbean there's been challenges, particularly on energy, because I don't know if you know this, but outside of Trinidad, we don't own our own oil source, so all of that stuff 100% has to be imported in, and so we're always dependent on other people for that stuff. We need to basically develop our renewable space because we have plenty of sunshine across the Caribbean, but the capital that is needed to do it up front is huge. So if you don't have your own capital source, you're running in a cycle. And again, same situation. I'm going back to the guys who have the money and they take over the projects and they make the decision, they make the money, right? And then now, not only that, but we don't own anything. And I also noticed that in Jamaica, when I look at the energy system, the whole energy ecosystem in Jamaica, it's not owned by Jamaicans. It's owned by investment funds and some from the Japanese, South Korea, and some folks in New York. And so I'm like, okay, this is a problem. I need to now not only look at a solution for that, but I need to understand the how you get the capital in order to do this. How do you structure an international fund where you can access capital not only in the United States, but is from Asia and from different areas in the world.
Structuring an international fund.
Right. And so I started that pursuit. The first time I did, I learned how to, because now I have knowledge.
Yeah.
But I went back. I remember I walked into a bank in Bahamas. Nassau, Bahamas is one of the areas that holds some of these big bank and trusts. And they're like, okay, first of all, how do you know this? Why are you here? Is your net worth 100 million or more? Because you really should be talking about this. Right. Essentially, kind of shoot away. I said, okay, but I know now where to go and have that done. So we continue to say, okay, I can't get into the front door. I'm going to basically start to build a relationship with some of those guys who have fun already out of Singapore, because I show them value on what I have on the other side. So every time I'm setting up a deal, I'm always coming into a deal, not looking to create my own wealth, but understanding what you want and the value on your side. And by creating that value, I create value through that relationship. And so of course the knowledge sharing and what I want to do, and some of those Singaporeans actually started to give me access to stuff in the Caribbean to set up funds to do international business out there. So that's the start of basically creating that fund.
And if you've just tuned in, ladies and gentlemen, we are sitting with Professor Oliver Jones of the Hampton University Center for Applied Economics and Entrepreneurship, where he is the chief economics professor. This is Black Wall Street Today. I'm Blair Durham. We're learning about how to start an international fund so that you can own both sides.
Both sides, right?
Yeah.
Both sides. So now what I've done now is then say, okay, I'm going to basically use this as a basis to come back in, to frame what is needed for when we start to the community entrepreneurs here, because the goal is not my vision and my purpose that God's given me is not to basically have all the money in the world, but to be a conduit for visionaries to execute their vision, providing resource and access. Providing resource and access is knowledge, and then the resource after knowledge to actually make it happen. And so we've been on a journey. I shared with the young man from the alumni from Hampton University, which we've basically partnered through this journey. And one of the NASA is taking note of it too, because not only have we gone and won a national competition as bringing Hampton students, the visionaries, to do this, and they're on their journey to do it. But we basically also set the platform to do it. So now we basically are engaging with directors for economic development in the different communities, understanding what's needed, doing designs and bringing in some of those technologies, looking to do modeling and simulation so students here can actually pull and be facilitating and learn this journey while we basically do this technology transfer. So it's because if you're not doing it the whole way, we're just sharing information, we're talking. And we repeat the same cycle we're seeing from the 70s, where we're owning less and less and less wealth than we have as a community. So it's a process of hand-holding, but it starts with the vision. And so my students that come into my class, I say, in fact, my famous phrase now for them is like, I don't even need to know your name, I need to know your vision. I call you by your vision, right?
This is good.
And if you basically can share your vision enough, we can turn it into what the purpose is for. And once I lay that groundwork, I guarantee we can match it with some technology to enhance it to make it happen.
Wow. This is great, Dr. Jones. I'm excited. I know that when we come back from the break, we're going to hear from a couple of your students, right? So we get to see if this is working. I've got a feeling that it's working, but I'm excited. When we get back, more about a couple of SBA loan programs that I bet you may not have been aware of, and we'll hear from Dr. Jones' students. Good afternoon and welcome back to this edition of Black Wall Street Today. I am your host, Blair Durham, and it is time for hashtag Add This to the List. We are continuing the conversation about business resources, and according to Black Enterprise Online, the Small Business Administration continues to be a viable business lender. The SBA's 7A loan program, which is the agency's primary and most common lending program, approved 696 loans for just over $166.7 million for African American women businesses in 2018 alone, actually up 3%. Businesses can use those loans to for everything from working capital to land acquisition or even just purchasing equipment. In addition, the SBA approved 34 loans for right around $16.6 million for Black-owned women businesses, slightly down from 36 loans, under the agency's 504 loan program. That program offers businesses long-term fixed-rate financing that can be used for such purposes as, again, buying land and existing, buying, or upgrading facilities. So we're back with our guest for today, Dr. Oliver Jones, and continuing the dialogue about economic development. And now we're here with two of his students that are going to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about how they have benefited from the Center for Applied Economics and Entrepreneurship. Who do we have with us?
Andrew Gray. I'm a senior economics major.
Andrew, awesome. And who else do we have with us?
Hello, I'm Alexis Darko, a third-year, 5-year MBA student here at Hampton University.
Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome to the show. And so I understand that you both recently competed in a national competition. Can you talk about what that competition was and what that experience was like?
Yes, we can. Dr. Jones, has been really a pioneer with this whole program. So the relationship between NASA, ILI, and Hampton University was set up this technology transfer between NASA and the students. Any student who wants to take place. You can use these technologies. They give you a list of technologies that you have access to.
Okay.
You select from those technologies, and you build a business plan around those technologies. You present on that, and they decide, where you rank, who's the best, which ones are easily ready to go to market, basically, easily accessible. And we all competed on that. We got the chance to be finalists this year. We did go last year as well. Hampton University placed first last year as well.
Okay.
So yeah, we're keeping that tradition going strong. We want to keep that, keep a system of people going to these case competitions and really, getting access to this knowledge, because there is a knowledge deficit between, within the community, the Black community and the white community. So we need to shorten that gap and lessen that gap. We need to fill that knowledge gap, and that's what we're doing with this club.
Fantastic. I do want to open up the phone lines, 757-727-5711. If you have a question for either of these two students or for Dr. Jones, we invite you to call in. Again, that's 757-727-5711. The phone lines are open. Go ahead. Tell us a little bit about your experience, Alexis.
My experience this year was a little different. Last year, I got to have a behind-the-scenes look at what went on with NASA and ILI, but this year I was able to actually apply and become a finalist. For my take this year, I had a love for technology, and I believe that as millennials, we need to understand that technology is in our hands every day. A post by the Huffington Post said that we touch our phones approximately 45 times a day. So as millennials, we need to understand that we're touching these $1 million devices and we're not figuring out how we can help them, how we can fix them, how we can create better and faster solutions for them. So that was one thing that I wanted to make sure that was on my radar and that I was staying educated, informed, and flexible about how to be involved in that.
I'm just so proud over here. So tell us a little bit about the technology that you worked with.
The technology that I worked with this semester was actually involving 2 different NASA technologies. And one thing that I want to make sure that everyone knows is NASA is literally giving you access to technologies that are everywhere in the world with NASA's corporations and that have abilities to do things beyond what our minds can see and what the future will see in return. I think that NASA's application to this is beautiful because it's so standard and so various that you can really make it your own. And nowadays, being your own person, being able to put your own spin on technology is very important because we have people who are trying to kind of do the same thing. But if we make sure that we're taking these opportunities to change and do what we want to do, we all are unique and we'll have a different spin on it.
Awesome. I couldn't agree with you more. Again, this is Black Wall Street Today. I'm your host, Blair Durham. We're here with some students from Hampton University who recently won a national entrepreneurship competition that was put on through a relationship with NASA. So very exciting. The phone lines are open, 757-727-5711 if you have questions. Tell us a little bit about the entrepreneurship side of what you participated in. Was there money is my first question.
I believe that the money is in the tech, the money is in the opportunity, and that is in building those relationships, becoming the forefront of it, putting yourself in the door of the opportunity. But I think that in the value of it, it's really immeasurable, and it's something that we need to see, that it's not necessarily our focus on the monetary funds. Our focus is on the change that the world needs as young people being pushed in. I myself would consider myself a serial entrepreneur because my passions range from healthy skincare to technology and fashion, and being able to not only not be afraid to say that I'm interested in tech, I'm interested to know more. And I don't know much now, but I will know more. Being able to say that is very important.
Huge. Andrew, let me ask you really quickly, what was the competition like? Was there any competition?
There very much was. The competition was very high. Actually, these are great ideas.
Okay.
And when you're put in these positions to be a part of these competitions, you're pushed. You're put in an uncomfortable position that you haven't been in before, and you gain so much from that. The experience is irreplaceable. Actually, from the competition last year, students that were involved with that, we created a corporation actually called Generators Inc. Four economic students from Hampton University. We really started getting work done around this spring, really coming together, really cultivating ideas, really finalizing, our product, getting a vision that we had. Mm-hmm. And, we're presenting opportunities. Like Alexis said, you're presenting opportunities. Once you really get in the thick of it, once you really start putting that effort in, that's when you get these opportunities. So, offering us upwards of $250,000, for part of our company. Not even a majority. The minorities owning the majority. Mm-hmm. That's not something that's common these days. Mm-hmm. And so we want to make that more common. Putting ourselves in these positions, and it's really great. And that was a solar tech that we were specializing in. This year I did a fuel cell technology. I believe Alexis had a battery-related technology. So the technologies range. They're very, very different. They're very, very different. Medical, communication, just a lot of different things. And so that's what we want to expose these students to. And it's a really great opportunity.
Good. Dr. Jones has something. Yes.
So here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, wealth. Just by having a student-registered company and having a NASA patent being transferred over into that company, the company just moved from a student with a registration to a NASA patent sitting inside where they own, right? So imagine that now, like you now are owning a registered company in your name as a student with a NASA patent transferred over in it. The company last year, as a matter of fact, that was exclusive. Meaning that when NASA transfers that, nobody else can touch it. I mean, for a student company, okay, do the valuation now. So when we were talking about not just get a contract somewhere and go complete a project and get a loan and we're on the struggle and who is giving us the loan and we're fighting for that. Okay, now that we're having an exclusive patent transferred into your company, people are coming and saying we want to be a part of that and we have money. So you basically flip the script through ownership, and that's how you basically create wealth. When you imagine now, we basically take another step with this solar technology. And by the way, with the solar, for people who are not familiar, essentially you see solar panels and sunlight passes through a panel, right? Mm-hmm. Not every sunlight, not 100% of the sunlight that passes through a solar panel is captured. Most of it actually is not. Right. If you capture anywhere between 15 and 20%, you're doing great.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
What NASA patent does is, in layman terms, double that capture. So imagine every solar panel that's out there today And imagine you're going to those same providers of energy and say, hey, I have a technology that double what you're capturing today.
Wow.
Okay. So now you're able to be.
It's a different conversation.
It's a different conversation.
Yeah.
And so understanding, seeing these things through the lens of economics, and applied economics even, because I distinguish economics and the traditional where you get
Where we all fell
fall asleep in high school. We're not talking through that. We're talking about through the lens of economics, making decision making. Now we basically look at and say, okay, how are we going to do downtown Newport News? And how are we basically going to take control of that development there? And can we actually go now and develop the kind of infrastructure there where we own the assets? And where is that money? Do we own that too? When you create the money and you create the wealth and you generate energy and the money comes back, it's coming back into the same space.
Yeah.
And so because that money comes back into the same space, folks that you're employing are coming from that same space. They're spending money, so guess what? You have stores coming to the same space now who want some of that money to circulate to hire more people. And that's why you basically create the wealth inside the community. You got to own it.
It's good. It's good. One question that comes to mind for me, and again, this is Black Wall Street Today. I'm Blair Durham, having a wonderful conversation with Dr. Oliver Jones and two of his students here at the Center for Applied Economics and Entrepreneurship about economic development and creating wealth. The thing that came to my mind just then was, this is great, right? The thing that you're doing, I think it's awesome. I wonder how it is we get this message, aside from, media platforms, right? How do we get it to low and moderate income high schools so that we have a greater population of students that are attracted to this program?
You bet.
How do we make this accessible?
Correct. Well, two things there. The first, most basic way you can do this is simply by the story that you hear now.
Well, let's hear his story.
Yeah, the story of the company that is created, and the students saw that they created it on that story.
Yes.
And then they become the messenger because folks are relating to them and say, okay, if
in a
you are
sense.
doing that, then I can relate. Because one of the challenges that we have...
But when you agree that a lot of this is over the heads of many, how do we distill this into something that we can take to...
So here's the model.
Sure.
We basically are now looking to do makerspace in the underserved communities that are there. And so not only are we saying, Hampton University students with all this knowledge, right? But part of that is developing community entrepreneurs that in the community. So when I talk about some of these technologies that we're talking about, and that's some of the dialogues we're having now with the economic development directors in these cities to say, give me your. In fact, as a matter of fact, for example, in Suffolk, there is this one bank inside one building in downtown Suffolk.
Metropolitan Church Federal Credit Union.
You've not even known one.
Okay.
Right? Andrew might remind me the name of it because I'll take them. But this one now, and it's on Washington Street, right?
So
But it was a bank that was black owned that shut down during the Great Depression. For creating wealth for the same time frame I'm talking about, and it's still standing, right? It's called the Phoenix Bank of Nansemond.
Didn't know it. Right? So it's no longer black owned.
The framework is there. Nobody's owning it, but we basically are looking at targeting that building for this purpose of what we're talking about. Because it has the historic tie. Because I'm always passionate about history, right? You see, I'm talking about the same time when Marcus Garvey was doing this stuff. It's still there, and now the economic directors are saying, if you guys want it, let's set up that building to facilitate those passionate folks who don't have the privilege to be at Hampton University, but want to transform their communities, right?
This is great.
So it's the partnerships that are going to happen between these businesses that we're setting up, and the communities that we're going into. So our objective, which is aligned with Dr. Harvey's, to basically address the disparity in underserved communities worldwide. So because we now are basically having the technology platform to actually do it, and in real time, we can be creating this business collaboratively between students and those community entrepreneurs. Then that's how you basically do that knowledge transfer.
That's good.
So you're creating wealth at the same time.
So for those that are just tuning in, this is Black Wall Street Today. I am your host, Blair Durham, and just a wonderful dialogue about economic development and creating wealth with the Hampton University's Center for Applied Economics and Entrepreneurship. That's important, right? An important distinction. We're here with some students who have recently competed and who are already successful entrepreneurs in their own right, and just having a dialogue about how we extend entrepreneurship from outside of academia into community. Right. So I think this is great. What else do you have, Andrew?
Oh, as Dr. Jones was talking about this relationship, getting these relationships cultivated. That was actually myself and another economics student who graduated last year went out to meet with the economic developer of the city of Suffolk, trying to figure out what we can do within this community to really start changing things, start doing things. And also a big thing with our whole community development is resident retention.
Okay.
Because we all know about gentrification.
Right.
So that's one of our main points we hit on, especially within our club, within this whole economic development, is retaining these important residents, the initial residents. These are real experiences that were put in by Dr. Jones, and the case competitions, the meetings with investors, the highs and lows, building a business plan, commercialization plans, all that is experience that our experiences are going to sharpen us really for when we step on, into the real world and we're ready to do this for real, because we're doing this right now. We're really doing this right now.
Yes.
But this is all just practice. This is all really practice in what it is. We're getting a head start, and that's what we're doing. And we're really appreciative for this opportunity that Hampton gives to us. We're doing this within Hampton, within our school. It's right here. All the resources you need to be successful are right here in front of you. You just got to make something out of it.
So, Andrew, what was it that attracted you to Hampton and to this program in particular?
Hampton University, actually, I'm a transfer student.
Okay.
I played lacrosse in New York.
Okay.
At St. John's University.
Okay.
I transferred here because part of my dad's influence was my sister also. My sister, Jessica Gray, she ended up going to FAMU, another HBCU. But
okay.
Hampton was our first school of interest, which was the first school I ever stepped foot on, ever. I was in 7th grade, so I went with her on a tour.
Oh, wow.
But I was just attracted to something about this, and then I met Dr. Jones when I came here. And that really, he opened my eyes,
He closed you.
Really, he did. He really did. He took me and he showed me that you need to use what you have. Use the knowledge, and the knowledge transfer is really important. And you need to take advantage of this time you have. We don't have a lot of responsibilities as students right now. So why can't we go do this? Why can't we go make these opportunities for ourselves?
Yeah.
And that's where he really showed to me, getting involved and going out and really laying the groundwork is something that I'm very invested in for this club, and I want to have a longevity of this club. That's really our main focus.
And what's the name of the club again?
The Economics and Entrepreneurship Club. This is a new club.
Economics and Entrepreneurship Club. I love it.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Great. Let me pose the same question to you, Alexis. What was it that attracted you to entrepreneurship and to this program?
Well, I think something that's important just in today's day and age, I think in flipping the script and changing the narrative, two things, we either have two options of complaining or changing, and requiring change is requiring more knowledge and kind of being able to get informed and being able to be uncomfortable in situations and be the quote unquote not smartest in the room and be okay with that until you end up stepping up. And I think that one thing that attracted me to Hampton was the possibilities and the potential. And when you see potential in something, you have to be able to dive into it. As a generation that is kind of shying away from making sure our ideas are out there, just as we remember that our votes matter, we need to remember that our ideas matter. The things that are in our heads, the things that we stay up at night and think about matter. And I realized that when I met Dr. Jones, he sees potential in students, and he is a prime example of how a teacher should be in terms of modeling mentorship and real love of knowledge. And I think that once we go back to the core of knowledge and the key to being together and having success together is something that I always remembered being here at Hampton.
I love it. Love it. Love it. I think we've got a caller. Black Wall Street Today. This is Blair Durham. Who's there?
Carl.
Carl, what question do you have?
I'm just wondering what if there's anything that they're doing. I guess the economics department is doing. I heard it's Suffolk, but I'm just wondering if there's anything like in Hampton that like directly associated with maybe Hampton, like those communities, Phoebus or anything like that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Carl, for calling in. We're going to go ahead and answer that question. I'll disconnect just in case someone else wants to call in. Stay tuned. The question was, it's understood that the Center for Applied Entrepreneurship or Applied Economics and Entrepreneurship is looking to partner with the city of Suffolk. But the question is, what could be happening in terms of a relationship with the city of Hampton?
Yes.
And are there partnerships there?
Yes. We are also engaged with the economic development department in Hampton.
Okay.
And we are also looking at maker spaces, both in Hampton now. We've from the School of Business written a couple of grants towards that over the last 2 months.
And we're talking about maker spaces that would be available to the general public?
Yes, yes. When we say maker spaces for the communities, the objective is to get those partnerships, and we're not going through the typical incubator of just, hey, we're there just to incubate ideas. We basically are there to deliberately transform. Mm-hmm. And so we match the visions that are there, find those entrepreneurs in the community who wants to basically participate with this and have it be defined and specific towards an outcome of transformation. There are incubation spaces currently in Hampton already. That if you have an idea, I think that they have. I think there's one on Magruder and there's another one somewhere else in Hampton. And Hampton University for years had one of those opportunities in Phoebus, which they no longer are going that direction. Our goal first is as soon as, when this becomes very mature, we can basically then revisit, broadening the scope. Mm-hmm. But for now, as a head of department and the focus, full time, students checking. There's so much resources in a given day. Now, this is not speaking on behalf of all the strategists from Hampton University.
Right.
Specifically for this program, it's outcome. I'm basically driving for outcome, and then the students can take it and we create the opportunity. The goal is at the end of the day, the technology is on the shelf. It gets all the way into the community and transform using a market-based strategy. That means that you make a profit doing that.
Yes.
And at the same time, you basically transform.
I love it.
Because we've gone through some of these cycles of just, hey, having a program and another program, and you have seen the results of it. So we're deliberate about this approach. Again, there could be other ones that are going on, but the short answer is Hampton, yes, is involved.
Working on it. Good. Well, Dr. Jones, students, this has been a lovely dialogue. I want to thank you so much for your time today. I'd love to have you back soon.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
And just as we're wrapping up, let folks know how they can reach you if you're accessible. I'm sure someone's listening that's already ready to partner.
Yes.
Are you accessible that way?
We are accessible, yes. Of course, you can shoot my email at oliver.jones@hamptonu.edu. We are looking for ready partners to actually do this. So we basically are looking to connect, and the students are looking for that connection too.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Dr. Jones. Hey, when we get back from this break, 5 must-use hashtags for Black entrepreneurs. We'll talk soon. And last thing, as promised, 5 best hashtags for Black entrepreneurs according to Black Enterprise. The hashtag Black Entrepreneur is crucial for Black entrepreneurs wanting to attract online attention. It identifies you as an entrepreneur of color, and it helps you connect with the rapidly growing Black entrepreneur community. Be sure to use this hashtag on multiple social networking platforms, including Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook. Next, hashtag Pitch Black. Hashtag Pitch Black, another must-use hashtag for Black entrepreneurs wanting to connect with movers and shakers within the Black startup and investment sector. Pitch Black refers to Black entrepreneurs pitching their startup companies to angel investors and venture capitalists. Add it to your social media post and you'll be surprised at how quickly your entrepreneurial endeavors will be spotted by investors, specifically looking for entrepreneurs of color. Next, hashtag support Black business is a hashtag that helps introduce your Black-owned business or potential customers and investors online. Whether you want to attract local customers in your own community or connect with angel investors wanting to support Black and Latino entrepreneurs, using the hashtag support Black business in your social media posts will help you connect with those interested in supporting your ventures. Number 4, hashtag shop Black. If you sell products as a Black entrepreneur, consider integrating hashtag Shop Black into your social media strategy. And last but certainly not least is the hashtag Black Tech. For Black entrepreneurs building technology companies, that hashtag is essential. Add it to your post on social media and networking sites, and there's a great chance you'll attract investor attention from Black-focused investors like at Arlen Was Here. Being social media savvy, as we know, is imperative for Black owners wanting to increase their success rate. I want to thank you for tuning in today. Next week's focus will continue the dialogue on economic development. We will host the city of Norfolk. Look forward to talking with you soon. Again, this is Black Wall Street Today, and I'm your host, Blair Durham. Stay with us online at Black Wall Street Today on Facebook and Black Wall Street Today on Instagram, and then follow us on Twitter as well at BWS Today. We look forward to talking again next week. Have a wonderful week.